So, okay. So let's start for the next one. So yesterday we have seen if u belongs to c square of omega, u is harmonic. We expect that we are trying to solve. So far we are trying to solve this problem mostly. Del u equal to h or del u equal to 0. Okay, del u equal to 0. This is the problem we are trying to solve. The harmonic problem we are trying to solve. So u belongs, what we expect is that u belongs to c square omega we expect, right? Suppose this is defined in omega. We are expecting that u belongs to c square omega. So next today's class we got proof that u belongs to c square omega e we got proof. Omega epsilon we got proof. Okay. So in continuous with that, this epsilon I got chosen arbitrary. Okay, this epsilon I got chosen arbitrary. So if you just take all the collection of that union bar, okay, that epsilon, this omega epsilon, all the collections, okay, then what you can prove is that this is the not only for omega epsilon e, omega epsilon, it is also true for c square of omega also. In that case also we can prove it because I got chosen epsilon first. Okay. Now, as I said yesterday, okay, what we want is that minus del u equal to 0 in omega we want at least u belongs to c square omega. But what we got is that what we got is that u belongs to c infinity of omega we got it. Okay, we got prove this one. U belongs to c infinity of omega e omega epsilon we got prove, and then from that you can just write that epsilon greater than 0. U belongs to c infinity of omega we can prove. But apart from that, okay, so that means what you are trying to find is that you are just digging your land and then you are trying to find whether some water is there or not. But what you found is that you found some gold in that place. Not only that, okay, what you are going to get is that you are going to get analyticity also. Means you are not only going to get the gold, you are going to get some petrol also in that place. Okay, so this u is going to become like analytic also. See, what you expect is that minus del u equal to 0. We want u belongs to at least c square omega so that you get a smooth solution. Okay, smooth in the sense that at least 2 times differentiable. But what we got is that you got a infinitely differentiable. So you got a smooth function, completely smooth. Okay, it's infinitely differentiable is there. Not only that, you got analytic also. Okay, you are searching for water, but you got a gold and petrol. Okay, so you got rich, something like that. Okay, what is the difference between infinitely differentiable and analytic? Okay, or not all infinitely differentiable functions are analytic. Can you give an example for that? See, if a function is analytic, you can prove that it is a infinitely differentiable, means it's a smooth function. Can you give a smooth function, but it is not analytic? You know any example? This part is clear. Analyticity implies smoothness. But the converse is not true. Okay, infinitely differentiable function deducting analytic. For example, you can take this function.
So e to the minus x is minus 1 by x square.
Yeah, minus 1 by x square or minus 1 by x. Yeah, x greater than or equal to 0, and 0 is
0.
So this is infinitely differentiable. It is not analytic at which point?
0.
Yeah, at 0 it is not analytic. Okay, this is an example. But what we got is that we got also a smooth function, but that is also analytic. Okay, so that's the reason I am saying that you are trying to get a water, but you are getting gold and petrol in your life. So something. Okay, now we will prove one more thing. The constant one, Liouville's theorem. So this is the one which we are trying to prove today's class probably. But before that, we'll prove two more things. So Liouville's theorem. So Liouville's theorem is going to say that if u belongs to r power n to r is harmonic and bounded, okay. Remember that the bounded I am just stressing here, okay. R power u from r power n to r is harmonic and bounded, then u is constant, okay. So once again, the proof is little complicated. Okay, I'm just going to do only part of the theorem. One part I'm just making as an exercise. That is not hard to prove. I'm just proving only one part. So let's take x naught belongs to r power n. Okay, arbitrarily some x naught belongs to r power n and some r greater than 0. Okay, some r greater than 0. Now what we are going to claim is that we are going to claim that du of x naught, okay, du of x naught modulus is less than or equal to something bounded, okay, something bounded with respect to this dimension. So C into R power n plus 1 into norm of U with respect to L1. Okay, L1 now. Okay, the integral function. Okay, L1 integral function. P of x naught comma R. Okay, so this one I'm just going to prove. This is claim number 1. This I got to prove. Okay, this first one I got to prove. Second one, what I got to prove is that I got to prove that C into R by n plus 1. So the again this one. Okay, from the right hand side, that also I'm just trying to prove. That is U into L1 P of x naught comma R less than or equal to, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to do C into alpha of n by R norm U of with respect to infinity now. Okay, so here it is 1 now, here it is infinity. Okay, or even you can take it like not only P of x naught of R is going to come, you can just simply prove that it is R power n r because you have x naught and R power. So this is what we are trying to prove with this. Okay, so I'll prove the first part. Second part I will leave this instead because it is just 2 lines or 3 lines proof. We can just prove it. So combining these two, suppose this claim and this claim. So I'm going to claim this one. Okay, suppose these two are true, then what will happen as R tends to 0? Okay, as R tends to 0, this is going to tends to 0. Therefore, du of x naught is this is going to tend to 0. If this is going to tend to 0, du of x naught is going to tend to 0. If du of x naught is tends to 0, okay, du of x naught is going to 0. This is modulus. Okay, so modulus of du of x naught is going to tend to 0. That means what? It's a positive quantity. Therefore, du of x naught itself is 0. Okay, but I got chosen my x naught arbitrarily. Therefore, this is true for all x naught belongs to R power n. Therefore, du should be simultaneously 0. If du is simultaneously 0, what does it mean? U is constant. Okay, if du is simultaneously 0, U is constant. Okay, so that means what I am left with is that I have to prove 1 and 2. Okay, 1 I will prove, 2 is straightforward. You can just find the relations between L1 and L infinity. That's straightforward. Okay, so that will prove.
R tends to infinity, right, sir?
Sorry?
Small r tends to infinity or 0?
Did I say 0?
Sir, infinity, right, sir? Because that term has to become 0 means R tends
if I mention R tends to 0, sorry, R tends to infinity. If R tends to infinity only, this tends to 0, right? This time it tends to 0, right? If R tends to infinity, this time it tends to 0, this time tends to 0, this time tends to 0. Okay, this is missing over here, sorry. As R tends to, okay, something is missing. And some typo error. Okay, I'll correct that. So R tends to infinity, not R tends to 0. Okay. Okay. So now let's claim. Let's prove the claim 1. Let's do the claim 1. So how do you prove this one? So if you just find u of x naught, okay, u of x naught. So what you can prove is that immediately you can prove this one. U of x naught is less than or equal to, okay, C by R power n into norm of U into L 1 of B of x naught comma R. How do you prove this one? I will just say it is immediate, but how do we claim this one? Any idea? Any idea?
the mean value property.
What property?
Mean value property of the harmonic function.
Okay, that is going to help, but I'm
maximum principle, sir.
right?
Maximum principle.
Okay. Could you just tell 1 or 2 lines how we prove this one? See, one side is norm is there, another side only mod ux naught is there. How the maximum principle is going to help here? I didn't say anything about maximum, right? I'm just saying u of x naught. Of course, it is true, but I have some constant is there. So how do we say this one? See, this side is something like if I am saying u of L1 of x, d of x naught r, that means there is some integral is involved in here. Because what is L1 now? L1 now is nothing but you have to take that in norm, you have to take it, right? Norm of u dx, you have to take it. Okay? So this I have to take it, d of x naught comma r, I have to take it. That is nothing but the L1 now, right? So what is the L1 now? What is the L1 now? This should be less than infinity. So this is the L1 now be defined, right? Am I correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So now we got to find the relation between these two. Okay, so if I just take this one, okay, d of x naught of r. So if I just take u outside, okay, what I am going to get is that what is the integral of this d of r is dx is going to become. This is going to become like some volume is going to come. So that is going to have something like r power n will come into the picture. If you remember the calculation of our volume of the ball, okay. Into some constant is going to come. So I'm just keeping some constant. So this u is also going to come. So some constant is going to come. Therefore, if you just take for each point, okay, if you take each point with that one, what you are going to get is that you are going to get that as he said, like the maximum principle is also involved, because this side we have volume etc. is involved, and here you are just taking the modulus of some point, okay, u at some point. So that is straightforward. Okay, you don't need to stress too much over it. Okay, fine. So this, if you just remember what is L1 space, okay, then you can easily do that. Okay. Now second one, since u is harmonic, okay, u is harmonic. Okay, point number 2, u is harmonic. Okay, therefore, if I differentiate this Laplace equation, what you can prove is that uxi is also harmonic. You can prove it. Okay, uxi is also harmonic. Since differentiating the Laplace equation, you can do that uxi is also harmonic. Okay. Now what we are going to do is that what is the, we have found what is u of x naught. Now we are trying to find what is uxi of x naught. What is uxi of x naught? So that is equal to, so uxi of x naught. I'm just going to write this one as integral. It's not 0. I'm just trying to find some a ball. Okay, I'm just trying to find the ball. I can just take some arbitrary ball. I'm just trying to find, and then I'm finding what is my sorry, not f bar, u xi dx. So for this one, once again you go to the proof which we have given for 2-3 theorems before, where you have used a similar kind of equality. Okay. So there you can take this one uxi of x naught, okay, equal to integral b of x naught. So how do we get this one? If you just go back to some of the theorems where we have proved u is equal to integral, two integrals we have proved, okay, two integrals equal we have proved, okay, we have taken some power and then we have proved. So using that theorem you can get this one. Now uxi of dx equal to, so this one, what is this one? So this is going to be integral, okay. So I'm just applying the definition. Do you remember this one? We have proved something similar to this. U of x equal to something integral and something over bar and something here over b to b. Yeah. So something, this both are equal. We have proved 3 classes before. Okay, the same property you are going to use it over. Okay. So now we are just going to apply this Green's formula, exactly, yeah. So you are going to apply the Green's formula, okay, and then you are going to get the answer as, this is going to be like, I'm just applying, first I'm just converting this average integral to normal integral, therefore I'm going to get alpha n into r power n is going to come, okay. Here, instead of r, I'm just taking the ball as r by 2, so r by 2 power n is going to come, okay, into integral, I'm going to apply the Green's formula, so rho b of x naught comma r by 2 is going to come, into u into nu I ds is going to come. Okay, so this is nothing but uxi of x naught. Now, if you remember, if you just calculate what is the relation between this u sigma I alpha n and the other one, what you can prove is that you can prove that this is sitting on the normal one. Okay, it is sitting on the normal one. Suppose I want to calculate what is the one with respect to L infinity. What is L infinity now?
Maximum of
Next.
Maximum of
value
that
of
f of x you are going to take it, right? So in that case, what you can prove is that you can prove that this is going to become like 2 power n plus 1 is going to come. So you are going to prove that 2n by r is going to come. Okay, 2n by r is going to come. This everything together, this alpha n also will get cancelled. So what we will get is that alpha n will come. Okay, that if you are just taking that integral, that is going to become like alpha n, and this is going to become like 2n into r is going to come into. If you take the modulus, what you are going to get is that you are going to get this L infinity. So I just leave only this line as an exercise. Okay, fine. So something it is okay. Dou d of this is r by 2. Okay, this is x naught. I take a ball here. Okay, if I take a ball, then I just draw a ball of radius r by 2. Okay, so this one r by 2. This is nothing but b of x comma r by 2. Okay, this is b of x naught comma r by 2. This is b of x comma r by 2. Now if I just draw a ball of radius this one, okay, almost this is going to touch sometimes. So in this case, what you are going to get is that this x belongs to b of x comma r by 2, and x belongs to b of x naught comma r also. Okay, that is true. Okay, and this is going to be subset of omega. So this is subset of omega, everything is subset of omega. Okay, therefore what you are going to get, you can immediately prove that. Okay, you can immediately prove that u of x naught. Okay, u of x naught is less than or equal to. This is simply from the definition of your Lebesgue integral. Okay, Lebesgue integral function. From that you can just prove that L1 is nothing but you just take the integral function. Okay, so from that you can prove that L1. Okay, so therefore what you are going to get is that this is going to be some constant is going to come. Some constant is going to come. I don't know which constant is going to come. So in general you can estimate that if it is on the b of x comma r power n, you can estimate that this is going to be c by r power n into norm of u into L1 of b of x naught comma r. Okay, this you can prove it. Okay, this we have already shown in the previous slide. Okay, the same thing I'm just repeating here. Now what we have is that we have u of x. So since this is true, okay, since this is true, if I take u of x, for u of x what it is going to come, okay, it is going to be less than or equal to the difference between this one and this one is that this is having r power n, this is going to have 2 times the radius. Therefore what you are going to get is that you are going to get 2 by r power n. Okay, c into 2 by r power n is going to come. C into 2 by r power n into u infinity u of is going to come. Even this c also you can estimate that this is going to become like less than or equal to alpha n 120. Okay, so this one is going to become like alpha of n is going to come into norm of u into L1 of b of x comma r. Okay, b of x naught comma r. So therefore what you get is that from this one. So we are proving that uxy of x naught we are trying to find. Okay, L infinity we are trying to find. So what we are having that we have that du of x naught is going to become like, okay, du of x naught is going to become like 1 by 2 by r power n plus 1. So from this one, okay, because we know I already shown that we have a relation between L1 and L infinity. So from that what you can prove is that you can just prove that, okay, this is going to become like du of x naught is going to become like 2 by r power n plus 1 by alpha n into L1 is going to come. Okay, and even this one, C also is going to help us for the analysis because we are going to expand this for the Taylor series expansion. At that case, this C is going to help us. Okay, so claim 1 is true. I'm just leaving the claim 2 as exercise. Okay, so if you prove the claim 2, this is going to be the claim 2 is straightforward. You just find the relation between LP norm and LQ norm or L1 norm and L infinity norm, then you can easily claim this one. Okay, fine. So if you prove this one, then Leoles theorem is done. Now, in fact, what you can prove is that what we have proved is that du of x naught is less than or equal to c by r power n plus 1 norm u L1 b x naught r we have proved, right? In fact, you can go for t power alpha also. Okay, d power alpha also you can claim. In that case, Again, some constant is going to come. C by r power n plus 1. C by r power k is going to come. Okay, so C by r power k is going to come. Or some constant. Okay, you can just assume that some constant is going to come. Some constant into Cu L1 P of x naught r power n is going to come. Okay, so in this case r power n plus 1, that other case it is going to come r power n plus 2 into some constant is going to come. So this also you can prove it, like you can just using induction you can prove it. Okay, you can just prove it for induction. For alpha equal to 1, you can just get it from here. Okay, from the proof of the Liouville's theorem, part of the Liouville's theorem you can prove. Now assume that alpha equal to 2, etc. Okay, fine. So this is for so in this case the ball is going to change. Okay, it's not for r by 2. Here we have taken r by 2. In the other case, it is going to become like you just sync the ball like x by x naught power dou b of x naught power r by k, etc. Okay, so something similar to that. Okay, so that's all for Liouville's theorem. So we already proved the claim, and then we have proved part of the claim. So second part of the claim is left as an exercise. You can just complete that. So now next one is a representation formula. So there what we are trying to do is, in the representation formula, what we are trying to do is that we are going to, this is again 2-line proof only, not complicated. So what we are trying to do is that suppose we are having a homogeneous, not inhomogeneous series, okay, minus del u equal to h in r power n, okay, then what is the bounded solution of the form? Okay, we got to see what is the bounded solution of. Suppose h belongs to cc of cc2 of r power n. Okay, where n greater than or equal to 3. This is true for n greater than or equal to 3 only, not for n equal to 2. Okay, n equal to 2, we don't follow. So h belongs to cc square of r power n greater than or equal to 3. Then any bounded solution of minus del u equal to h in r power n has this form. Means the kernel, we are trying to find the convolution between pi and f. Pi and h, not pi and h. Okay. So u of x is going to become like integral r power n pi of x minus y into h of y dy. It's a convolution between pi and h. Okay, it's not f. For some constant plus some constant is going to come. So the proof is simple. You know, like the construction of pi of x from the fundamental solution. Okay, so in that you can prove that pi of x tends to 0 as mod x tends to infinity for n greater than or equal to 3. Okay, that we have claimed already in the fundamental solution. Okay, so now what it is going to come is that we are going to get, so from that one what you get, we have already proved from the modifiers and etc. We have proved that what we have proved is that this u of x is going to become like integral pi of x minus y into h of y. Okay, r power n. Okay, what you have to prove is that it's a bounded solution. Okay, it's a bounded solution. This is going to become like a bounded solution because h belongs to cc square of r power n and pi of x minus y is converging to 0. Therefore, if you just take the integral over here, this is going to become like bounded again. Okay, this is converging, this is bounded, cc of r power n means it is compact support. Okay, cc of r power n is bounded and this is bounded. Therefore, and this is belonging to c square. Therefore, it is continuous. This is already we know that it is continuous. Okay, therefore, what you can prove is that this is going to become like a bounded solution. Now we got to prove that if any other solution is there, that is also of this form we got to claim. Okay, that is the only part here. Okay, so it's a bounded solution follows from the pi property and h property. Now what we need to prove is that you need to prove that this suppose u is another solution. Okay, u1 is another solution. Then what we have to prove is that this constant is going to come. Some constant is going to come out of it. Okay, so that's the only thing we have to claim. Suppose u1 is another solution. Okay, u1 is another solution. Now define w is equal to u1 minus u. Okay, w is equal to u1 minus u. Then what you can prove is that you can prove that del w equal to 0. Okay, it's another solution. The W equal to W is going to become like you can just take U1 equal to U1 minus U. Then you can prove that right hand side is going to become like U1 is a solution means del U1 is also catch and del U is also going to catch. Okay, minus. Therefore, W if I take W is equal to U1 minus U, then the del W equal to 0 is going to come. Then now again you can use this property of Liouville's theorem. Then what you can claim is that you are going to get that this is going to become like this W is going to this is going to become like a harmonic. W is harmonic. If W is harmonic, okay, then what you can claim from the Liouville's theorem is that this W is going to be constant. Okay, you can just use the properties of Liouville's theorem. Okay, Liouville's theorem says that W is harmonic and bounded. Okay, from this one we can prove that this W is harmonic. Okay. Now U1 is another solution. Our claim is that it's a bounded solution. Okay. Suppose U is satisfying, U1 is satisfying the same thing, but that is also going to be bounded. U is already bounded. Therefore, U1 minus U is going to become bounded. That means W is bounded. So W is bounded, W is harmonic. Therefore, W is going to be constant. Therefore, what you are going to get, if you are having any other function, this U1 is going to become like U plus C. Okay, because W equal to C is there. Therefore, U1 is equal to U plus C squared. Okay, that's the proof. That's all. For n equal to 2, this is not going to be true. For n equal to 2, what you are going to get is that you are going to get minus 1 by 2 pi log x is going to come, but it is unbounded as x tends to infinity. Okay, so in that case, your pi of x minus y into h of y dy may be bounded or may not be bounded. Okay, so it need not be true. Okay, now we are going to get a petrol now. Okay, so far we got a coal. Now we are going to get the petrol. Okay, so here what we are going to get is that analyticity. Okay, so U is harmonics. Assume U is harmonic in omega. Then what we are going to claim is that U is analytic in omega. So for this, what we need to prove is that if U is analytic in omega, what we are supposed to claim is that we have to claim that there exists a neighborhood, okay, around, suppose I pick some x naught belongs to omega, you have to prove that there exists a neighborhood. In that neighborhood, there is a power series, convergent power series is existing. Means almost like a Taylor series we are trying to prove over here. Okay, so the proof is like little two parts, maybe a little bit tricky, but otherwise it is easy. What we need to choose is that you have to choose your R cleverly. Okay, you have to choose your R cleverly, and you have to choose your x minus x naught cleverly. Okay, if you just choose these two things, then you are done. Okay, so only these two places you may have some difficulty, but rest of the places is not a problem. Okay, so now what I am going to take is that I am not going to take in the earlier case I have taken, I think, the distance between x naught comma dou omega. Now I am going to take or half of distance comma x naught comma dou omega. Now I am going to shrink the ball further. Okay, I am going to take the ball 1/4 of the only I am going to. So R is equal to 1/4 of distance of b of x naught comma dou omega I am going to take. Okay, means I am just taking a ball x naught, I am just going to fix it, and I am going to take a ball of I am going to take R equal to distance between x naught comma dou omega. Distance between x naught comma dou omega. So you have x naught over here. Okay, suppose this is my dou omega. What I am going to take is that I am just going to take R such that R is nothing but x naught comma dou omega. I am finding the distance. 1/4 of the only I am going to take. Okay, then the ball is going to be x. Then one more thing I am going to choose. I am just going to choose m is equal to 1 by alpha of n. Okay, 1 by alpha of n into r power n into r power n into norm of the L1 norm. Okay, norm of L1 of u1 u of L1 of p of x comma this r. Okay, I am going to take this x naught comma 2r. Okay, I'm just going to take that. Means I'm just trying to find what is the diameter of this ball. I'm just trying to find what is the maximum size. Okay. So now what we are going to take is that suppose I take any x in the domain. Okay. What I'm going to choose is that I'm just going to choose my x such that p of x comma r subset of p of x naught comma 2r. Okay, p of x naught comma 2r, which is already we have chosen r such that this is going to be subset of omega. So now you can just realize that why I have chosen r 1 by 4, so that this will be properly contained. Okay, b of x comma r should be subset of b of x naught comma 2r, and this should be properly contained in omega. If I choose 1 by 4, then this is going to happen. Okay, otherwise this is going to exceed that. The bar is going to exceed. That's the reason I have chosen that r plus 1 by 4. For each x belongs to b of x naught comma r. Okay. Now, so this exercise problem I have given an exercise problem for d alpha of u of x naught. Okay, that there we have claimed this one. D alpha of u of x naught is less than or equal to 2 power n plus 1 n k power k by r. So same property I'm just going to use. Okay, from that exercise, from the exercise problem, we have this one. D alpha of u of x naught less than or equal to 1 by 2 power n plus 1. So that property I'm going to use. Okay, so this one, from this one, what we can claim is that, so what I have is that t power, I just write this, t power alpha into u of x naught less than or equal to 2 power n plus 1 into nk whole power k divided by r power n, r power n into r power k also will come. Okay, r power k into of n into norm of u L1 of u of x naught comma r. Okay, so now what we are going to claim is that we are going to claim that I'm just going to use this one. So alpha n is there, r power n is there. So these things, okay, these things and these things together is going to become like m. Okay, because I have chosen my m is nothing but 1 by alpha n r n u of l in L1 b of x naught r power. So this is, these are all why I am choosing m. This is going to be like a maximum I'm going to choose. This is bounded. For that property only I'm going to take. So m I am just going to take. So m is there. Okay. Then remaining thing what I have is that I have something like 2 power n plus 1, 2 power n plus 1 into n power n k whole power k by r power k is going to come. I'm just going to write it like k. What is this k is that? If you see the exercise, the k is nothing but mod alpha. Okay, k is nothing but mod alpha. I can just replace that with mod alpha. So wherever I have k, I can just replace that with mod alpha. So there is a small okay. It's not this. So I'm just replacing wherever I have k, I'm just replacing by mod alpha. Okay, so this is going to become like is the equal to m into 2 power n plus 1 into n by r power mod alpha into k is there, so that I am taking it as mod alpha power mod alpha. So for this one, okay, for this one, what I am going to use is that I am going to use the Stirling's formula. Okay, using Stirling's formula, I am going to get it. So the Stirling's formula is the relation between this e power minus k into k power k plus 1 by 2 by k factorial into 1 by 2. So I don't know whether you have studied this in your discrete mathematics course, where you will be studying about the combinations, permutations and combinations. In that, one of the important problem which they will derive is the Stirling's formula. Okay, Stirling's formula, which is going to talk about infinite number of combinations which you are taking under the program. Okay, this is called Stirling's formula. So if you don't study also, it's not a problem. Just know this formula. Okay, e power minus k into k plus 1 by 2, k factorial is going to be 1 by square root of 2. This is called Stirling's formula. So I'm just replacing wherever k, I'm just replacing by minus alpha, just mod alpha, so that I'm going to get it like that's that line. Now I just simplify that. Okay, if I just simplify that, what I'll get is that I'll get alpha into alpha. So I want an estimation for this one. Okay, alpha into alpha power mod alpha power alpha. I want an estimation. So from this Stirling's formula, what you can do is that this mod alpha power mod alpha is less than or equal to c into, okay, alpha power c into e power alpha, c into e power alpha into alpha factorial. So this you can obtain from the Stirling's formula. Okay, mod alpha factorial or alpha factorial. Okay, so this you can estimate for some constants. So that constant also you can find it actually. Now further, this is a multinomial multinomial. Okay, means you have n power k. Okay, if I just find what is my n power k is going to be 1 plus 1 plus etc. I can just write it as n times power k. So what is this is going to become like? You can just use the multinomial formula. Okay, you know the binomial formula, right? X power, suppose I have x plus 1 power k, you can just write that x power k plus k is 1 etc. So same way you can write the multinomial formula. In the multinomial formula, what it is then is that you have x1 plus x2 plus xn power k will come. So in that case, you are going to get a bigger series. Okay, so that is going to have multiple things will come. So in this case, this is going to become like summation alpha factorial by alpha, mod alpha factorial by alpha factorial is going to come. Okay, so from this one also what you can do is that, so from this one again what you can do is that, so this is going to be true for all n and k. In fact, k you can replace by alpha. Okay, so n power alpha is equal to summation alpha factorial by alpha factorial. Therefore, this mod alpha factorial, you can just bring this. This is going to be, sum is going to be there. Therefore, n power alpha is less than or equal to n power alpha. Alpha factorial is going to be less than or equal to n power alpha into alpha factorial. So you can just this sum is going to be there. So this side is dominating. Okay. So therefore, if I just take one of them, therefore each one is less than or equal to this n power alpha into alpha factorial is going to come. Okay, that alpha factorial is therefore, what you can prove is that this alpha power alpha c e power alpha into alpha factorial is less than or equal to, okay, less than or equal to c e power alpha into n power alpha, n power mod alpha into alpha factorial is going to come. Okay, this is going to come c e power mod alpha n power alpha into alpha factorial is going to come. So we have started somewhere and then we have deviated somewhere for the Snelling formula etc. for this estimation. So I can substitute this now. So equal to m into 2 power n plus 1, okay, by r into n power mod alpha. Okay, so this is less than or equal to alpha power alpha. So some c is going to come and we'll see over here. I'm going to remove this n also because that is going to go over there. N square e, okay, n square e into alpha, n square e into mod alpha, okay, into alpha factorial is going to come c power n into, okay. Therefore, what I can claim is that I can just bring this alpha factorial over here, okay, that is going to become like d alpha of u of x naught by alpha factorial is less than or equal to this one. Now, if you just find your Taylor series expansion, in Taylor series expansion, what you will get is that you will get something in terms of t power alpha is going to come. Okay, because it is not only square etc. is going to come, many other things are going to come. So in that case, your Taylor series expansion, you are going to find what is the, you are going to find what is your series. Okay, you are trying to write a series and then you are going to find what is the estimate is going to come. Okay, so I'm just trying to find whether this series is going to converge on e power alpha of u of x naught. Okay. Okay. So this one I'm just trying to find. Okay, mod alpha equal to k input. Okay. So this I'm going to find. This is nothing but almost a Taylor series expansion. Okay, mod alpha I'm just going to get into. If I want to write it in terms of power series, what I need to write is that I need to write, okay, so this I have to see whether it is going to converge or not, etc. You will see. So in that case, if it is an analytic one, what I can claim is that this is going to be written in the form d alpha of u of x naught into x minus x naught power alpha. This is nothing but our Taylor series expansion. Okay, almost the Taylor series expansion in now x equal to x. So now, if you remember the Taylor series convergence, when do we say it is convergent? We need to find the radius of convergence and interval of convergence. Okay, so we need to find the radius of convergence and interval of convergence. How do you find the radius of convergence and interval of convergence?
So by root, I mean, sorry, by ratio.
Yeah, an plus 1 by an. Correct? An plus 1 by an. Okay. So same thing we are going to do. Now what we are going to say is that this is going to be expanded. Okay. So I'm just going to find if it is a Taylor series to be valid, what I have to prove is that this remainder term tends to 0. Okay. After certain stage, this remainder term tends to 0. For some arbitrary large n, I can just prove that. Okay. So for each one, you can just. So that's what we are trying to prove. Okay, so to prove that this Taylor series converges, what we need to do is that the remainder term converges to 0 or same tends to infinity for some interval of convergence. Okay, so now the choosing that interval of convergence is little tricky, so that we will do with the help of the ratio test itself. Okay, so now if I find what is my Rn of x is nothing but okay u of x minus some up to n terms I'm just subtracting. Okay, summation I equal k equal to 0 to n minus 1. Okay, k equal to 0 to n minus 1. Summation mod alpha equal to k. Okay, mod alpha equal to k. For mod alpha itself you can put it, no problem. Into d alpha of u of x naught into x minus x naught whole power alpha by alpha factorial. Okay. Now we know already that for what is the almost we know what is that. Okay. So what we have is that if you just subtract this one, what you are going to get is that you are going to remove some of the terms over there. What you will get is that you will get a you can just transform this to a single variable function. Okay, g of you can just put some g of t such that this is going to become like u of x naught plus t into x minus x naught. Okay, then this is going to become like a single variable function because our x naught and x everything is almost fixed. So in this case, this is going to become like okay. So if you just expand this part, you are going to get that you are going to get summation. Rest of the terms are going to get cancelled here because k equal to 0 to n minus 1 is here and here is also there. So therefore, rest of the things are going to get cancelled. So we are going to get only that alpha equal to n times is going to come. Okay, from that only we are going to get alpha equal to n. Okay, d alpha of alpha. Okay, this is going to alpha equal to n to infinity. Okay, t power alpha. Okay, u of x naught into x minus x naught whole power alpha. So that I am just replacing with some substitution in terms of one-dimensional variable. What I am going to get is that x naught plus t into x minus x naught. If I put t equal to 1, this is going to become like u of x is going to come. Okay, if I put t equal to 0, this is going to become like x naught is going to come. Okay, so I can just map this t, g of t between 0 and 1, so that this is going to valid. Okay, t of x belongs to 0, 1. This t is a function of x minus x naught, so this is belong to 0, 1. Okay, so I'm just going to generalize that, not only for x naught, I'm going to use it for x also divided by alpha. Okay. So I have given curve, but I have almost revealed the sketch of the things what is going on. Okay. So now Rn of x is less than or equal to Rn of x is less than or equal to. So if I just take the modulus, okay. So if I just take modulus here, this is going to be less than or equal to. Then I have to take individual things. Okay, individual things I am going to take. So we have to claim that this is convergent. Okay, absolutely convergence we have to claim that. So that's the only part remaining. Now from this one, d alpha of q of x naught is less than or equal to cm into r power 2 power n plus 1. Therefore, what I can prove is that this is less than or equal to summation alpha equal to 1, alpha equal to n. Okay, and substituting whatever I have here, cm 2 power n plus 1 by r power mod alpha into n square e power mod alpha. Okay, same thing I got it. Into x minus x naught power alpha is there. Into x minus x naught power alpha is there. Summation is there. So almost we started with something over here. Now we ended with something numerical series. Okay, it is almost like a numerical series. If you just forget about what is your x minus x naught, okay, almost it's like a numerical series. This is also numerical only. Okay, x minus x naught mod is there. That's also a numerical thing because it is a number. Okay, so our claim is that this numerical series is going to converge. Okay, this numerical series, whatever we have, is going to converge. So this series is going to converge. Okay, we are going to find when it is going to converge. We need to find what is our a n plus 1 divided by a n. Okay, if it is less than 1, is it converge?
Yes,
When
sir.
does it converge? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that one we are going to prove. So an plus 1 by an is less than 1. Then what you can claim is that you can just take that. Okay, so an plus 1 an is going to become like 2 power n plus 1 by n square e divided by r power n plus 1 into r power n divided by 2 power n plus 1 n square e. N is going to come. So n is there. N is there. So what you are going to get is that you are going to get an plus 1 by an is going to become like 2 power n plus 1. Okay. Not 2 power n plus 1. R by n. Okay. 2 power n. Yeah, correct. 2 power n plus 1. Okay. N square into e is going to come. By r is going to come. Okay. So if this is less than 1. Okay. If this is less than 1. Then you can claim that. In fact, what you are going to get is that you are going to get something like. You are going to get the interval of convergence from here because an plus 1 is nothing but this x minus x naught is also there. So you are going to get x minus x naught power x minus x naught n power n plus 1 n. So it is going to get cancelled. So x minus x naught is less than or equal to what you are going to get is that r by 2 power n plus 1 into n square e. In that case, you are going to get that. Okay. So in this case, you are going to get that. But what we want is that, so in this case, we can say that it's convergent. Okay, this R and Rx is going to converge. There is no doubt in that. But what we want is that we want that to be convergent to 0. Not only convergent to 0 also we require. So in that case, if you just choose your x minus x naught, okay, if you just choose your interval x minus x naught, r by 2 power n plus 1 into n cube e square n cube e n plus 2 into n plus 2 into n cube. Okay, I'm just dividing by 1 by 2n. Okay, one more 1 by 2n. Then what you can claim is that this is going to 0 also. Okay, that's what we are going to claim. Then the proof will be done. So substitute this. So x minus x naught power. I'm just going to choose this one. Okay, I want my Rn my Rn f tends to 0. If I want just convergence, this is fine, but I want convergence to 0. So I'm just choosing this x minus x naught is the same. R by 2n plus 2 n.
So we want radius to be 0, right?
Why radius to be 0?
I mean, this is going to 0. Yes.
No. I want something should be like here. I want some interval of convergence. That interval of convergence should be analytic, right?
Yes, sir.
See, if it is analytic, means it is, I'm not going to claim that it's analytic at only one point. I'm just going to claim that it is analytic in some neighborhood. That's what my initial claim was. In some neighborhood only I mentioned. See, you can be represented by convergent power series in some neighborhood of x naught. Okay, that neighborhood I'm just going to choose. Okay, that neighborhood is nothing but this one. This is going to be my neighborhood. Okay, x minus x naught to less than or equal to r by. So if you just take this one, this is my neighborhood. So in that neighborhood, so if you substitute this once again, what you are going to get is that you are going to get that like after simplification, what you are going to get is that you are going to get summation mod alpha n alpha equal to n 1 by 2 power n into n is going to come. So if you take the sum out, there is mod alpha equal to n means, if you remember our very first or second class where we mentioned mod alpha equal to n means you have a n power n combinations are there. Okay, you got mod alpha n is nothing but you got choose all type of combinations. Like first one will be 0, second one will be 1, etc. Okay,
Yes,
so mod alpha. Just recall what is the definition of mod alpha in our second class of our
yes, sir.
PD. So in that case, what you are going to get is that you are going to get the summation. You are going to get that less than or equal to n power n is going to come. So n will get cancelled. You are going to get 1 by 2 power n. So as n tends to infinity, what you are going to get is that you are going to get tends to 0. So that means our Rn of x is going to tends to. So here the two crucial part is that one is choosing your R cleverly and choosing this x minus x naught cleverly. So if you just choose these two things, then you are done. Okay, only these two things are ready. Okay, almost time. Okay, this one we will prove it in the next class. Karnack's inequality. So here we need some analysis like Spurinum and Infimum. So this is also not hard. We'll just prove it in the next class. Okay, so the take-home message for today is that water versus cold versus the truth. Okay, you found something for, you were searching for some water, but you got something like gold and the truth. Okay, so that is one of the beauty of this Laplace equation and harmonic. I hope a similar kind of things you might have studied in your complex analysis with complex variables. Okay, but here we are taking